This is Books and Tickets, and we are delighted to be joined on Zoom once again with ravishing Paul Ryan. How are we, mate?
Good, Stephen. Good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for getting the nickname in.
It's my pleasure, and here we're always going to look of the just we're always going to get the nickname in where possible. Where did they? I was sort of saying before we started there. Obviously, WrestleMania was last week, and we know you know like dabbling in a bit of the wrestling. Where did the nickname come from?
Yeah, I like that. Look, I love the old school wrestling. Um, yeah, old school back in the 80s, the 70s and stuff. So I always watched them. I used to use Shawn Michaels as the walkout and stuff, and Rick Rude is a good fella. So Ravish and Paul Ryan is a bit of a ring to it. So we tried to use that. We used it in an interview with Irish Boxing, and then obviously they were looking through Google or whatever, and it came up, and they came over and asked us, and we were like, yeah, yeah, absolutely, go for that.
So let me see. So the Rick Rude you're on about was also then Rick Flair. Is that correct? Obviously, he had so many different egos in boxing. It's the same person,
No, they're two different people.
two
Rick Rude
different
had
people.
Rick Rude had the big mullet, and a mustache, so the mustache comp goes with it as well, you know.
Slash fits in well with the character. It was bringing me on to the next question because obviously you like to have your different ring walks. I was going to say the next one you're going to use the Ric Flair one with the woo, and
Oh
then
yeah,
there's all
that'd
the
be a good
different
one,
weird
yeah.
music.
Yeah, I need to think out the next one now. I might just go all out and go for right said Fred, I'm too sexy. Just go straight into it.
I know. I tried to get Deco actually for his last fight there. I actually tried to get him to come out. That's Shawn Michaels' tune. Tried to get him to come out for his Celtic title fight, and he chickened out the last minute, and then he chickened
Oh,
out again. So
oh really?
there's only so many people can pull
Look,
these tunes off,
only
Paul.
only a handful can pull it off, you know. So have to live up to it.
Definitely is. I know that when they were sort of talking last week, in the build up to the sort of Grand Prix, they were sort of mentioning obviously the fact that you believed you belonged in these bigger platforms, the likes of Matchroom and things like that. Did last week give you that first taster of what's to come for you? Obviously, having that big exposure, obviously a WBC event in Riyadh. Unfortunately, not the money that some people's been getting out there in Riyadh recently, but it gives you the first taste of hopefully what's to come for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I think like you've all seen it. I fit in. I was like a fish to water there, you know, in the big events, the big production. That's where I belong. That's where I thrive. The big walkouts, the music, the big ring and everything. That's where I belong. Like I only raised to that level, so I fit in, and I won't be taking a back step now going forward.
Sort of a couple of points I want to sort of think of is the Grand Prix tournament was set up for people with no more than 15 fights, people were no older than 26. Your fight seemed to be different. Obviously, your opponent, 15 and 1, was 27. What was, if you can tell me, obviously, Paul, what was the entry requirements? Was it by the time of the entry level? And I know he hadn't boxed again since, but maybe he turned 27. Like, was it just a sort of rare glitch there that you just had to overcome and going, this guy technically shouldn't be in this tournament, but it seemed to work out.
No, I don't know what the story is because my next opponent is the exact same. That Mexican, he has 15 wins and one loss, and I think he's 27 as well. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a grey area or maybe they needed it. They didn't have enough applications or something. I've no idea. But come here, they could be 50 and 0, and they're still getting bit.
It's maybe one of them is maybe no more than 15 wins. Maybe
Yeah, I'm
look at
sure.
it.
I'm sure there's a fine print there that we are missing. But like I said, records are for DJs. Doesn't bother me what they have.
You'd sort of talked up. Obviously, we'd done an interview in advance of you going out, and you'd sort of talked up. The fact that everybody's going to get talking about you. Obviously, after your debut, obviously on the Grand Prix, like you dropped your opponent twice. I was looking there at statistic. 83% of all the fights in the middleweight division went the distance. But
Yeah.
obviously, for somebody to knock someone down twice and stroll the sort of victory, like you must be very delighted with obviously how you performed.
Yeah, it was three times. It was three knockdowns.
Three knockdowns, sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
three knockdowns.
Yeah, I was disappointed I didn't get the stoppage, but he went very negative then. He started lunging in with his head down, and it became a thing in my own head where don't get cut, don't get a bleeding, don't get risk, get on that now. You have the rounds banked. You're going to be back out in 8 weeks' time, so don't get a cut, don't get an elbow to the eye or something, because he got very sloppy towards the end. So it was kind of risk management.
that was my sort of kind of thing. Obviously, I seen in the fifth round you sort of come off gas a wee bit, and I'm sort of going. You obviously knew at that stage when the next round of it was because as you've seen so many times in the amateurs, cuts and things like that can rule you out. And the last thing you
Yeah.
want to do is your vital prep will now start again for the next stage, and you don't want to be having to sit out for 30 days with a cut or anything like that. So even though you have a relatively short pro career so far, you've that experience built up to go, right, I banked this up, just stay out of bother for the last two rounds and you're playing sail on home.
Yeah, because even like in the amateurs, you see towards the later stages, it's never really the better boxer that gets there. It's usually the fresher boxer that gets to the finals and stuff. You see a lot of guys get pulled out because of cuts or stuff. I just didn't want to risk anything at all. Obviously there'll be times where you can play it safe, and I'm well aware of that. But like that, you're 4 rounds up. I still think I won the fifth and sixth. I rewatched it back. I still thought I won it, but like he was coming forward, but he wasn't doing a whole lot. Like he was lunging in, and he made it look sloppy. But yeah, I just didn't want to take any unneeded risks. I'm gonna have to get, a suspension for 30 days for a cut or anything like that. So get the win. That's the main thing at the end of the day. Now we only have 7 weeks now back training anyway. So it is a quick turnaround.
At what stage in the fight did you sort of know that, that you were dealing with your opponent? Like it seemed to be from the start that he just couldn't cope with obviously you, first of all, but obviously you in a southpaw stance. Were you able to gauge that early on? They see that he was struggling to match you, you being southpaw, like that classic
Yeah,
orthodox
I
southpaw. He was
I always
struggling to
say
sort of keep with you.
I always say whenever I'm fighting anyone or sparring, I just need to see that jab. Once the first jab gets thrown, and I know already now I know what I'm dealing with. So it's literally like even so this Mexican guy, I just need to get in and get a punch off him, see what he's with. So the minute the first jab gets thrown, I have a good enough IQ, I can adapt straight away, and it's kind of right. We're off to the races now.
It's one of them, isn't it? You've seen every style, obviously, your long established amateur career, you've seen everything there sort of is to boxing. Were you nervous going in, Paul? Obviously, I guess when you've that thing that you want to do very well and you've high hopes of yourself, did you have the nerves going in that you just didn't show, or how did you feel going into the ring?
Yeah, you always have the nerves. Obviously, like he's a good lad. Like I think he was an IBO Youth World Champion, so it was a tough it was a tough matchup, and there was a couple of guys coming up to me after the fight being like, "Jeez, we didn't think you're going to win that at all." Now I knew I was going to win. I had no doubt about it, but it was nerves and it was kind of apprehension. I just wanted to get in there and kind of, like I said, I wanted to get the first punch off. So it's just more get me in there and let's see what happens then. But there was definitely nerves. There's always going to be nerves, bit of pressure on me because I knew I was that good. I knew I'm good enough to win it. So I wanted to show that, and I knew how hard I worked. I wanted to show it and actually do justice to myself.
Now, obviously the blind draw was done. Obviously the path to sort of glory has been sort of set. You already know who your next opponent is. Then obviously the next bracket you can sort of work out sort of who's from there. Does it get easier for you, or do you just have them blinkers on now, Paul, to go? You just worry about yourself and what you can do, and everything else will work out.
Yeah, I'm just kind of worried about myself now. I'm not going to kind of sit down too much into game plans and stuff. Now, fortunately enough, we have a Mexican who is uh, just a Mexican. Like it's what it says on the tin. He's going to come forward. He's going to kind of put his head down. He's going to wing in big shots. Like we talked about, he won on a controversial matter, but I'm going to assume that was his worst night in the office. I'm going to assume that was his worst performance ever, and that there's a guy 10 times better than that waiting for me in June. So I'm going to work like a dog, and I'm going to give it sucks, and I'm just going to just put the best training camp of my life in, like I did for the last one. And once I do that, I know that I'm going to smoke this guy.
Like it looks like I know the final looks like it's set for the 20th of December now. It sort of said like
Yeah.
what a Christmas present that's going to be, 200,000 euro. Obviously the guaranteed shot at WBC silver belt, but like it's a long stretch to get there. By the time obviously the final comes, you're probably nearly been in camp pretty much for the guts of a year.
Yeah, that's like even now we're talking. So me and Screamer were talking this morning, and it's not going to be kind of into a really heavy, intense camp. It'll be almost like a maintenance thing now we're doing. So my strength sessions are tweaked. I'll only be looking at kind of one spar or so a week, one tough spar for about 5 weeks, and like the main thing is going to be just keeping the body intact. Don't take any silly risks, and don't take any niggles or anything like that. So it'll be grand. We keep the weight down as well, so we won't have to worry too much about that either.
You always look very well, obviously on the scales and stuff like that as well. Was it good, obviously, to have Mark and Screamer there because like they're like yourself, they're not one bit wise. So like obviously, I know your missus out and your dad was out as well. Like, is it good to sort of have a team where nothing's too serious, everything's all light-hearted, you can all have a bit of fun and relax? Like I was saying to Screamer afterwards, didn't see Big Mark the whole thing until it came to the end of the fight, and I think he was trying to get the ring girls out of the ring.
Yeah, no, it's great. Nothing too serious with us at all. You said it in one. Um, but very professional as well on the other side. But like that, I think you need to be not too serious. You need to be able to have a laugh and just kind of bring things down a bit, especially at such a big event like that. It's easy, it's such a big production and there's so much moving parts to it. It's easy to get overwhelmed. Whereas when you have the lads Mark and Screamer, my girlfriend, my dad and stuff, my ma, it's great for me. It helps me out a lot because it just kind of not that it takes my mind off things, but it makes it just a bit more natural, bit more normal. So I'm lucky that I have such a great team around me, and Mark and Screamer are the dynamic duo. Don't know no better man for it.
If everything was too serious for you, Paul, you probably wouldn't enjoy it. You need to have that bit of banter. You need to have it sort of the informal side of things because if it's too serious, then you probably get more nervous about yourself. Whereas if everybody just stays themselves as they normally are around you, it's gonna be a walk in the park for you.
Yeah, exactly. Even like that, like the night before, we won't have a bit of dinner and all, and there wasn't even that much talk about the fight at dinner. It was just having a laugh and just having a bit of crack and stuff, and that's great. I love that. I hate these real serious settings where you can't, you're just laser focused, and you're talking about game plans and nitty gritties and all that. That's not me. I like to relax and have a laugh and go out and have a bit of food and just take it easy.
It's the best way sometimes to deal with anything of it. As I say, the more sometimes you take it serious, the more you have that worry of the what ifs. You have to have that light-hearted part to it because otherwise, this boxing game, as can be long term for people. Can be very short term if you take it too serious.
Yeah, and you need to the big thing you need to enjoy it. Like the whole reason you get into boxing is because you like it and you have fun doing it. So you need to remind yourself of that just to actually have fun doing it. That's something I think I'd done when I was fighting. I think it was shown that I was enjoying myself. It was fun. And I think the more fun it is, the better you box, you know?
It's crazy to think that I think there's the equivalent of another maybe five. There's a 4 or 5 fights left potentially for you in the tournament.
Four
Five, is
more
it?
for you. Four
Four.
more.
So they think by the end of this year you could be 12-1, and obviously you're making up for that inactivity part you've had. So like, are you a believer in sort of fate? Like we've talked there before, where you've had the inactivity fights sort of haven't happened, obviously after the defeat, and then sort of things went quiet. You can actually build a lot of it back up here very quickly.
Yeah, it's a great way to make up for lost time. Even this, I've never had a thing where the minute you're done a fight, you've another one lined up straight away. So that's great. Stops me from getting fat. So I'm happy about that, you know. And literally straight back training today, back to work and all. So I'm really happy with it. It's ideal. Every boxer would want this.
It's like I think I've said in a couple of posts and stuff as well. The Irish always have good things in these tournaments. Obviously, we've had a lot of winners in the past. You know, I guess you're going to put the pressure on yourself. I guess a good thing for you to know is you're only Irishman in the competition, and obviously the luck of the Irish, obviously, and everything else, the success we've had in the past, your amateur career and everything else. Like you can only be confident on what you can achieve in the tournament.
Oh, 100%. And I think if you watched some of the other fights there, I think I'm well up there now as one of the men in the weight class. I'm full of confidence going into it. Like really, I really think I'm one of the men to beat. And I think I'm gonna do an awful lot of damage. I think this fight now against the Mexican, I'm gonna look even better than the last fight. And I think each fight that goes up, I'm gonna rise up with it.
The Mexicans sort of could fall into your trap in the sort of way where you want someone to come. That's when you're going to get your best work off it.
Yeah,
You could sort of land a couple on them, move out, wait for them to come again,
yeah,
and it could be very easy night's work for you.
yeah. I think once I'm on it, I need. Well, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm getting ready for a prime Antonio Barrera for this fight. But I think once I do get ready for that, I'm gonna look really good. I think he's tailor made for me. But I just need to put in a shift, not take anything for granted, and just give it socks.
Just obviously want to speak on obviously a big card that's obviously happening this weekend. Obviously, Eubank Ben in London. Obviously with our own obviously our McKenna and obviously action on the takes on former world champion Liam Smith. Like, have you had much time to sort of think on that card this weekend and obviously who your picks and things are going to be?
Yeah, I do. I think Eubank's gonna. I think Eubank should do Ben. I just think he's too big. I think Ben is gonna play right into his hands, isn't he? He's a bit emotional now. He's gonna lose the rag, and I think he'll run in. And Eubank will use his. He's a good jab. He'll catch him with that, and he'll bleed and iron him out. I think mid rounds. Um, the Aaron fight is really. I don't know. It's a real. How much does Beefy have left in the tank, isn't it?
Mhm.
Like you know, as much as like I think everyone wants Aaron to win. I know everyone does. But obviously, you had to forget Liam Smith has been in with the Canelos of the world and Jesse Vargas and stuff. Like he's good, you know what I mean? But he didn't look great in the Eubank fight either, did he?
It's one of them, isn't it? Yeah, it's what you say. It's how much he's got left, but you probably think that Smith, if he's on his game with his footwork and his craftiness, it'd be hard to sort of pin down. And Aaron, I
Yeah,
guess, sometimes is maybe not the opponent. Sometimes to sort of suit the style he has. He can sort of box
yeah,
in different ways, a bit
this is
different
true.
from Stevie. Like
Yeah,
this is probably
I
his
can,
coming out party in some ways.
yeah, I can attest to that. Like when you do get them negative opponents and they're not giving a whole lot, you do drop to it a bit. It's hard to kind of get up and motivate for these lads that are like kind of central area title level, you know. Like he is way past that. But I think his best opponent has been, would you say, Mickey Ellison, who's probably I think his record's 12-5, isn't it?
I
Oh no,
think
sorry, he boxed that American, didn't he, in the Japanese thing. He boxed him, didn't he?
yeah, and he also your guy Lima did he beat? Yes,
Ah, that's right. So he does have a good track record actually. Yeah, and it could be a thing of you need that good opponent to get it out of you. So hopefully that is the case and he can do it. Because did you see the face off? He's a big out size difference on Liam, hasn't he?
yeah, he does. I think the actually talk was before this fight was made that he was maybe going to go up to super middle. You know,
Yeah, 'cause-
he just can't sort of stick to a weight class. He just seems to keep growing even at 25. He's keeps stretching. He keeps.
yeah.
I
Even
don't know if he
he has the
struggles with weight,
frame.
but to get the best out of him.
Yeah, he has the frame as well, doesn't he? Like he's not skinny. He's not like tall and skinny either. He is fairly wide. So super middleweight could be the move. Yeah, man's moving up, isn't he? Shiraz, he's moving. That could be a good fight down the line. That'd be a nice
Shiraz is
one.
moving up and he's taking on Berlanga apparently in
Is he?
July.
Yeah. Ah, he bleed and smoke Berlanga, won't he?
Don't know. I think Shiraz. I think the problem with him is he just seems to be his foot placement when he's trying to. He seems to be on his toes too much, like he's actually on his tiptoes.
Yeah, he doesn't
Um,
know when to plant it.
yeah, and I guess with Belanga's a big puncher as well. Like a lot of Belanga's knockouts have come in the first round. Like you could see that in
Yeah.
a inside a 3 minute job.
Yeah, well, didn't they say he was nearly 200 pounds in the ring against Canelo? He rehydrated up 30 odd pounds or something. Mental.
Same against Paddy McCrory. He was over
Yeah,
200 pound.
yeah, it's fucking mental carry on, isn't it?
Like you sort of. I know sometimes people try and find that right balance of performing at the very best. Like they put on from weighing in at 168 to then the equivalent of 2 stone then to a fight night. Like, how can you perform at your best when you have a big
Yeah,
pot
it's
belly
madness,
hanging out?
isn't it? Yeah, it's fucking mental. Surely just move up in the weight and make your life easier as well.
Like you imagine Paul, you going out there and obviously you get a big Santa belly, trying to
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. One bad thing to the belly and you're down, ain't you?
Exactly. Um, is there a date set for obviously on the next round? Obviously, I know it is June. Is it around the same sort of
Yeah, it's
time period?
the 20th to the 23rd of June. So three to 21st and 22nd, I think it is. So
So they
not
might
too bad.
run in the same order again. So obviously you could be in the Saturday game, which is prime time viewing.
Yeah, but they're it's only 3 days now because obviously they're half in the numbers. So it's a lot, so it's only three, so we're all doing around a 16 each. So I think it's gonna be maybe a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So they'll throw you some of the heavyweights and not you'll fight the heavyweights, but it could be the same part.
Yeah, I'd imagine they'll mash us all up, put the featherweights and super lightweights together, and then the middleweights and the heavyweights. Or they could just keep it all with the 4 days again. Four weight classes, 4 days, and just shorter durations of boxing, you know?
Yeah, because they're not when they mix up different days, and not when they have like two two featherweights, two super lightweights, two
Yeah.
middleweights, two heavyweights in the one day, because then it messes up the
Yeah,
weigh-ins.
it gets a bit messy then, doesn't it? Because they literally, if you've seen it, like it was just like a bleeding cattle market. They get us all down, they call your names out, up you get on the scales, and they have it all down like it's a great procedure. They run it really well.
And is this next round then? Is this the last one of the six rounders? When does it move to the eighth, Paul?
And no, they're all six rounders until the finals. The finals is the 8 rounder, and then up until then, they're all six rounders.
And tell me this, obviously, just before I let you go. Whenever you're hearing the scorecards after 2 and 4 rounds, like, does that ease? Because we've seen so much controversy in this sport at times, Paul. Like, whenever you're hearing the scorecards after two and you've knocked them down, like, 3 times and you're in the fifth round and you're hearing the scorecards, does it make it easier? Do you
You know
know you're
what?
hearing that in the back of your head?
I couldn't even hear it when you can't even hear it when you're walking out because you're just so focused. So it's not until go back in the third round, then you get told. But I couldn't even hear it going out. But I suppose it'd be good for the coaches in the corners if maybe they're close rounds and they need to tweak something or they need to make a game plan change. I think it's more for that and the fans obviously. But I couldn't hear a single thing. Like I could not hear it at all.
You're sort of going back to the corner and Screamer was going, "Oh, you're such and such up," and you're going, "What are you on about?" It's like
Yeah.
it's as if you nearly forgot that this sort of scoring was happening during the
Yeah, you don't even
contest.
think about it. It's the last thing on your mind. You're just so focused on the fight, like you don't hear the announcer or nothing like that. But I think it's good. I think actually the feedback seems to be really good about how they done the open scoring. And the only thing I didn't like the buzzer they were doing for the last 30 seconds. That was a bit of a melt.
Yeah, because you're normally used to the last 10 seconds, and you give it
Yeah,
obviously you give it your all for the last 10 seconds, and you're going, "There's still 20 to go."
yeah, yeah. It'd be
It's
bollocks then. Yeah,
it's getting used to it.
yeah.
I guess in some ways it'll sort of help you. I guess probably trying to be able to hear that more,
Mm.
for the next time around, being able to hear it more, because then the last thing you want to be doing is you're not being able to know until the end of the fifth round what the scorecards are in the fourth, and only leaves you 3 minutes. So I guess it's probably trying to train your brain to sort of hear them scores as they come out.
Yeah, it's good to keep. It is good keeping the brain switched on, and it's good. It helps with like your own timing, kind of. I know it's there to prompt you up for action, but. It helps as well to know, right, I've 30 seconds left. I've won this round. Get on your bike as well. You can be cute about it as well. Like, it's not just about being an idiot and rushing in and just trying to land one more punch.
I guess as the rounds and stuff go on and stuff like that as well, without scoring and stuff as well. Like if you know what you have to do, say there's 6 minutes left in the fight, and you know you need to win the last 2 rounds, or you might need to drop someone or things like that. You know exactly what's there for you. It's just about implementing it then.
Yeah, it does. It gives you that kick up the hole and it helps your corner then. Like that, if you know you're down, then you get confirmation that you're down. It gives your corner enough time to say, right, we need to change a few things. Let's try this instead, or let's not do this.
And like with you getting this exposure now, I guess hopefully, what'll come off the back end of this is hopefully you can get some more sponsorship. Obviously, people's now seeing you out there and seeing that the reach and everything else is getting. Hopefully your phone's going red hot. People obviously want to be part of Team Paul Ryan and get the well. I guess the bad thing is you can't have your own logos for your fight gear because it's all their fight stuff. So that hinders it probably in some ways.
Yeah, like at least the team T-shirts and all are there, and I was wearing my own one all week just to get the logos out. But it was a melt. I wouldn't mind. I spent a fortune on it on a new fight kit. I like to get the good flashy gear. I got a big poncho and all made now, but I won't be able to wear it for the year.
Suppose you'll be able to wear it. Obviously, you know your first fight of 2026 when obviously you're fighting for the WBC silver title and you have 200K in your back pocket.
Yeah, exactly. All for a reason. Yeah, I'll get a gold fringing on it or something by then.
Definitely, and you'll obviously have the WBC logo on it somewhere as well.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
but I guess obviously even though that you can't have a sponsorship, it's like a UFC sort of thing. They pick things, even though you can't have it. Obviously, there's a sponsor still want to come involved and help with camps because you're flying all left, right, and center to go and spar and people all much needed costs that are going to hopefully help you get over that one in line in December.
Yeah, and I'm lucky enough, even the guys that do sponsor me now, they're not doing it for their own brand to get out there. They're doing it because I have a good relationship with them and they genuinely do want to help me. Like the guys that are on me logo, on me kit now, like they do it just because they do want to actually help me out, not really for their own gain at all. So
Definitely.
it's nice that I can like now I'm getting on the big platforms and now I can actually promote them a bit.
And I guess obviously what comes hand in hand with that is obviously once you get to these bigger stages, you're not going to forget them sponsors right at the start, not the ones that come on, where we
Yeah.
see people become a world champion, the next thing everybody wants to sponsor them. You'll remember the ones that were with you from the very
Yeah.
start.
Oh, 100%. Like I've guys there like AP Breakdown, Let's Close Sunbeds. They're all with me since me debut, and they're doing it just to help me. So they'll be with me till the end now, regardless of when I'm fighting for a world title or whatever. It's not about who wants to sponsor, like you said, it's not about who wants to sponsor you when you make it big, it's who's helping you when you're trying to sell tickets. That's the real loyalty stance.
Definitely is. But look, obviously it's great to obviously get a catch up. in 8 weeks' time, we'll be doing it all again.
There
Obviously,
we go.
once you're
Yeah.
you're through to the next round. But look, obviously, congratulations, obviously, once again on a stunning, obviously, debut on the Grand Prix tournament. Hopefully, the next 6 or 7 weeks goes very well with you, sparring and things like that. And
Yeah. Legend, Stephen.
we'll catch up with you for a winning interview as normal in 8 weeks' time.
There we go. We'll keep it as a tradition then. Yeah. After every win. Thanks,
Yes,
Stephen.
well. Not a problem,
Top
Paul. Speak
man.
to you soon.
Legend. Thank you. Take
Cheers,
care.
take
Bye.
care. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.